Okay, again, Chapter 17, Bankruptcy, Roman numeral 2, and beginning with paragraph R, actions of the debtor which may prevent discharge. Okay, so certain conduct by a debtor may end up having that discharge not be able to go through. Let me point out at the outset, though, that failing to list a creditor on your petition will not result in your discharge of it as the debtor being revoked. Now, again, let's discuss the context here. We have the debtor files a petition. That's what gets the whole bankruptcy ball rolling. And as part of filing that petition, the debtor has to provide a list of assets and also a list of creditors. But there are certain conduct that, if the debtor engages in, can create some problems with that discharge. So what I just said was simply failing to list a creditor on the petition will not automatically cause that discharge to be revoked. What happens, though, if you make a false representation about your financial condition when you obtain credit? That's a problem. What if you conceal property? Again, that's a problem in terms of it may result in or may prevent your debt from being discharged. If you falsify, conceal, or destroy records relating to your financial condition, if you fail to account for assets. Number 5, if you fail to answer a creditor's, I'm going to put this material, again, significant, refusing to follow a court order, all of those things may end up causing the debtor's petition that they may not be able to get that discharge. As just tells us that, look, corporations and partnerships are not granted a discharge. Instead, what happens is the unpaid debt of the corporation simply won't get paid. I mean, the corporation will probably just cease to exist. Now, with partnership debts, remember what happens with a general partnership? Okay? The unlimited personal liability of the partners means once the partnership has gone through bankruptcy, it's possible then that creditors might seek out the individual partners because, again, each partner is personally liable for the debts of the partnership. With respect to individuals, this 6-year limit, which is now an 8-year limit, only one discharge is allowed every 8 years. So you can continue to go through bankruptcy. The fact that you've filed for bankruptcy once as an individual does not prohibit you from filing again, but you've just got to wait 8 years. So a couple of comments, and you may want to write these down. You can start a new business. Nothing keeps you from starting a new business. If you file for bankruptcy with one business, you can start a new business. Are you discharged from all debts? No, as an individual, you are not discharged from all debts. Some debts will continue and are not discharged by bankruptcy. And again, there's a list of them is in paragraph O, and the one that I said to make sure that you are aware of is the alimony, maintenance, child support. What happens if you receive an inheritance? Again, that's something from your grandma's will. Your grandma says, oh, hey, upon my death, I'll leave you $5,000, and your grandma dies. Now that $5,000 gets paid to you by the executor of the estate, and you receive that inheritance from your grandmother, again, upon your grandmother's death, and that came into your possession within that 180-day period, beginning with the date that you filed the petition and going forward 6 months. I mean, 180 days is basically 6 months. Again, that's going to be included in the bankruptcy assets. We're going to start Roman numeral 3, which is all about the Chapter 11 reorganization. So again, in a Chapter 11 reorganization, which applies to businesses only, the goal is for the business to survive. Now, let me remind you that a reorganization, that filing of that petition can either be voluntary, that is to say that the debtor chooses to file a petition for bankruptcy, or involuntary, again, which means that creditors can file a petition seeking to put the debtor in bankruptcy. So again, I will just point out to you, and this is listed in paragraph B, that the requirements for the petition, the orders for relief, the automatic stay, all of those are similar to what we learned in Roman numeral 2 under Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But here's the thing, and here's what's going on. In the reorganization, the creditors and the court are working together to develop and adopt a plan by which the business is hoping to survive. The idea here, from an economic standpoint, is that the thought is that the creditors will lose less than if the business were liquidated. Okay, so that's the big picture goal here.